Menagerie, hello. Hi, hi. I hope everyone is having a good Homestuck Day and or Neil banging out the tunes day, whichever you observe, if not multiple. Zoop. We're playing something good today. I'm looking forward to it. Hello, hey, hi Jaro. Whoa, whoa. How's it going? I'm here for the troll mysteries. Hell yeah. My plan, by the way, is to play through all of these. There's a lot of volumes. I'm looking forward to seeing how long they take. Because right now my goal is to do... Hey Goo, hi! Welcome in, hi! But anyway, my goal is to do like 3, I guess, cases? Or like... Because it's hard for me to describe it properly. I want to do like 3 trolls at a time. So each case, each volume has 2 trolls. So I'm gonna try and like munch through volume 1. And the prologue, obviously, because it gives you a little bit of mystery and intrigue, TM. But I'm gonna try that, get through 1, and then we'll vote for 2. Which one do we want to do in 2, I mean? Dead, swole. You? Time to get trolled. You? Thanks, Crab. I appreciate it. We'll see. If we can really, like, blast through these cases, then we could finish Volume 1 and Volume 2, but for some reason I doubt that. Mostly because, you know, we're gonna be reading them out loud. Today's stream brought to you by 4-day-old ham that was in the fridge. Munch. Hey, it's still damn good. I'm gonna give it like another minute-ish. There we go. Just bumped up the volume a smidge. Alright. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's swap over. Actually, wait, let me see one thing first. Okay, cool. I'm glad I checked. My, sometimes my PNG likes to freeze. LOL. For reasons I don't know. Just like this. Just a fool. Just a hooligan, really. Just a scoundrel. Alright. Swoos! Ta-da! We're here! So, a little bit of background for what this game is. And how it relates to Homestuck. So, obviously, Homestuck itself is a webcomic. That's a whole ass thing to try and summarize what that is, but what it did do is that it spawned a lot of fan comics. Amidst them, one that is called Vast Error, that is very good, do recommend. I'm quite behind on it, but I like it a lot. And spawning off of that, kind of synonymous with the Friend Sim, which is just a thing from Homestuck where you just get to like meet all the like a bunch of trolls and hang out with them and stuff, is this Snowbound Blood, which is a visual novel, yes, but more than that, it is like a cool mystery-ass thing, and also all the characters are really cool and well written and neat, and I like them. But yeah, no, I don't think you really need backstory. Like, you don't need to know. You don't have to have read Homestuck or Vast Area to enjoy what Snowbound Blood is. So, don't worry about it. I think you can appreciate the references and stuff in it if you know, but if you don't, it's still damn good. Also, I don't know how in the hell I'm gonna voice some of these guys. I'm gonna do my darn best, though. You know I always try when it comes to voicing characters. I do my best. Also, I realize this is a premiere not snacking kind of game, so I'm just gonna close that ham up. I'll take ham breaks. But yeah, there's a lot. Look at all these volumes. Hell yeah. Man goes ham. Yeah, that's me. Alright, prologue. I need to move my mic. Achoo. How do I voice Cecily? This is our protagonist, Cecily. She's cool as fuck. Alright. Crab, question, because you've read these with me. Do I read Cecily's quirk out loud, or do I just let that kind of be the garnish on the text? Because this is her quirk. It's the garnish. Okay, I will not read the chess movements. Her quirk is a chess game. Yeah, it's cool as heck. Don't read it, LOL. Hey, come on. I figured I might as well ask. Ah, man. I'm feeling stage fright all of a sudden. I'm gonna blame Crab. You made me nervous. Smile. Love you. Her quirk was chess moves? Yeah. Yeah, see? 1 to e4. And then e5. Or 1 at e4. I don't know. Chess... ... exclamation point. I think I'm just gonna do my normal voice. She's gonna talk way too much for me to do something really weird. Neat pawns, I guess. Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Take it. You proffer the dueling rapier. You're second best to the ruffian. You took down his two mates easily enough, and now he's the last one standing, unarmed and afraid. This is part of the ritual for you. He's not dying alone. It's not a trick. You know that. I'm sure all your ilk has heard of me. There we go. You even know how to hold it. Sometimes I get asked why I do this. He stands, eyes narrowed, and you touch the tips of your blades. Proper stance and all. You wish more smugglers had the touch of class this soul did. You almost feel bad for what's about to happen. Then, you remember the document detailing the deaths caused by this counterfeit medicine lab, start to finish, like it was photocopied straight into your head. There's 3 reasons. Here's the first. It's only fair. Face to face, blade to blade, an honest chance. You deserve that. Everyone deserves that. If you die with nobility, with courage. If you don't, you walk out of here the first man in 12 sweeps to win a duel with me. And that's something to fight for. Allez. Alright, you start the bout with... let's do something simple. A simple thrust. You start the bout with a simple thrust. This one knows what he's doing. You can see it in his stance. He might have been just like you, luring the épée in some bright office, dreaming of holding a real regulator's blade like Proserpina. I can't mess up Proserpina's name. Gleaming in your hand. If so, he strayed. You didn't. Your superior technique prevails, and you catch his blade in a prix de fer. All the leverage yours. Ooh. You press your advantage and slide effortlessly closer with the tip until you've pierced his chest, right beside his blood pusher, sliding your sharp point deeper to draw a torrent of rosy brown blood. Your other sword falls out of his hand with an indelicate clatter as he chokes out in pain. You catch him as he leans over, dying, and begin speaking in his ear, calm as always. The second reason I'm doing this is the one I need you to hear. It's the important one. If there's anything out there for your soul after this, if you meet any kind of maker, or can see any shred of any of the dead, I need you to carry a message for me. Also, hi guys! Hey! We're playing a Homestuck-related game. It's Snowbound Blood. It's really good. Is that a Homestuck? It is. It is, I explained it in more detail earlier. Don't people leave. Come on. Homestuck good. Where's Vriska? Sorry, I didn't get a chance to make it because I was, you know, getting the game ready. So no spinning Vriskas. But no, this is a visual novel, murder mystery type thing, based off of a fan comic based off of Homestuck. It's completely unrelated to Homestuck, and honestly, you don't even need to have context from Homestuck or Vast Air to appreciate this game. I'll say it once again, it's really damn good. It's great, it's a good story, all the characters are cool. And interesting. Only experience I have with Homestuck is I had a roommate that had a cosplay with a honking ding-dong and my cat. Oh, I see. Oh my god. You were living with a Gamzee cosplayer? Concerned. Dance. Anyway, we'll get back to this. This is kind of an important prologue. It's serious. I guess so, yeah? It's good stuff. I wouldn't judge too hard based on the fans alone. Cecily's cool. Anyway, I need you to carry a message for me. Tell them this is for Alina Robiad. I will send them as many as they need to avenge her. He's nodding, even as blood starts to trickle from the corner of his mouth. Good lad. And if you see her, tell her I'm sorry. I can't join her just yet. You wait for him to slump over, dead, and slide him off your blade, taking a picture with your visor to document another successful compliance initiative to your superiors. Oop, make me run an ad. You got it, bud. Hey, anime. Alright, ad time. Boink. I'm gonna wait for the ad to finish. But yeah, I like this a lot. I'm looking forward to going through all these. I might try... It's just me for this one, but for some future volumes for Snowbound, I might try and bring some buddies in. Because, voice acting. Smile. It'd be fun to have some more peeps in for it. Alright, looks like ad is done. Let's keep going. You pull a kerchief out of your coat pocket and wipe your blade clean. You speak to no one as you sheath it and walk out of the room. The third reason is that I enjoy it. And I always have. Oh. Alright. Volume 1, baby. So the prologue was just kind of introducing our protagonist. Your name is Cecily Iopara. You're the chief regulator for the Repeton Corporation, more recently known by its variety of slick rebrands. You've been pulled off your current caseload for a priority LGF, which is a once-in-a-binary eclipse level of problem. Which is good. Petty crime gets rote after a while. You walk through the busy open office hubs. Cubicles were deemed too impersonal by some new age synergizer or another and replaced sweeps ago. You're sure they'll be back in a few. That's how it always goes in these halls. You let the symphony wash over you, played by dozens of clacking keyboards, the idle sameness of phone conversations on little headsets, the shuffle of papers, and the whine of a copier. Home sweet home. Your business isn't with any of these low-level bureaucrats, thank goodness. No, you take long strides past all of them, coats swishing in dramatic contrast to their button-ups and slacks. You're on your way to your superior's office. This case starts, as all your best have, with consultation with the newly puissant heir. Sorry if I say any words wrong. Smile. Alright, this is an all-in-one, which is why it couldn't be split into pieces anyways. So let's go. His assistant gives you a curt nod and presses a button on her desk that slides open the door. Same colorful office as always, littered with idle fascinations to occupy him during long meetings or periods of thought. Here he is. I think just nerd voice for this guy. While nodding along to a rant he's receiving through the phone held to his ear, he gestures for you to come in and sit down. You've never forgotten a face. Or anything at all. Oh, this is in parentheses, so this is tips. Throughout the game, you can select Recall upon meeting characters to search your near-perfect memory for information. The memories may be useful for solving the case ahead. Alright, let's recall this guy. It's Sestro! It's not hard to remember this face. Everyone knows Sestro Enthal, the heir to the executive, and next in line for control over the entire corporate machine. He's been gradually assuming influence over more of the company hierarchy as prepared to come into power with his ancestors' old age. This means you're taking orders from someone half your age who wears sweater vests. You'd be upset about it, but you're a consummate professional, and he's sweet enough. He's got a real piece of work of a mate sprit, though. Lore. Enter. Right now, he looks downright sour. Once you recognize the sandpaper harsh, salty voice assaulting his ear, you feel a twinge of sympathy. The Ripetonian elite are rarely sensible, but few could match the talent for absolute nonsense Calder Carrion has displayed over the sweeps. You watch your employer pinch the bridge of his nose with 2 fingers, jaw clenched as he listens to Carrion go on and on about... late shipments? Of the drivel he passes off as a magazine, you wonder? Oh well, you aren't being paid to listen to the grievances of Mr. Enthal's flock of fledgling hyperloopers, so you don't. Sestro rolls his eyes theatrically at some high point and finally meets your gaze. He mouths something, looking pained. He can't not pitch it? He stole fizzy lifting drinks? He doesn't even drink it? Either way, you're certain you don't care. He makes a cutting gesture across his throat with his hand and points at the phone's receiver for your benefit, while making his voice perfectly pleasant and neutral for Calder's. He assures him that corporate will do all in its ability to ensure the timely delivery of his shipment, and if he could only answer a few questions... You stand up, draw your pistol, and aim over the phone's receiver and off Sestro's side towards the enormous windows that make up the office's outer wall. You watch Sestro cup his hand over his loose ear while the twin sounds of the gunshots and punctured glass ring painfully in your own. Immediately, the corporate security alarm blares to life. You watch Sestro mouth something, "We'll call you back, maybe," and hang up, immediately turning to his computer and turning the alarm back off before the system's response can get too serious. A few defensive drones fly into the office as you put your gun away, but it's been a long time since you were first given license to use deadly force in corporate's halls. They see nothing wrong in the office and dutifully fly away. Sestro regards you with what seems like equal parts annoyance and gratitude for a moment, then presses a button on his computer and instructs it to remind him to address Calder's concerns later. He pauses. Through email, he adds. Then he turns to you. I won't do full nerd, just like maybe a little high-pitched. Effective as ever, Miss Ayopara. Not that I feel it was necessary to damage corporate assets like that. Even suspected threat can often serve as one of the better excuses with which to placate the distractingly powerful. They can relate to the fear of it. There's no damage to speak of, anyway. Sestro is so used to the show, he doesn't turn around, but you regard the broken hole in the window with keen, if distant, interest. The broken edges of the glass have already started to leak, oozing translucent drops which turn to silky threads of liquid crystal. Within moments, the substance will coat the hole between inside and outside and freeze solid, as if no breach ever occurred. I was speaking of your hearing faculties, Miss Ayopara. Senses as keen as yours are hard to come by, and while I'm sure we could repair any damage done to either of us, time is at a premium at the moment. I need you on top form, so please do take care of yourself going forward. Of course. Are you and Miss Libetta... You shoot him a glare. You're really in no mood to talk personal matters. Understandable. I didn't mean to overstep. Consider my concern a thank you for freeing up my afternoon from grub sitting. On the subject of which, your assignment. I trust you've heard of the Biz Canteen Empire? Sestro pauses as if he expects a reply, but you've been here long enough to know better. Nobody hasn't heard of the Biz Canteens. One of the older civilizations known to Repeton's past, they were famed as a rowdy, macabre bunch in their golden age. In this age, though, they're lost. The skeletons of their society, all that's left of them. After he collects his thoughts, he continues. Last night, we had a security breach in the northern wastes, near the site of some Byzantine ruins. A transport convoy was compromised. There were casualties. 2 guards, plus the convoy's driver. All 3 were found executed, face down in the snow. Hey, anime. You lurkin'? It's story time. He slides the pictures of the bodies across the table to you. You whistle in awe at the sight. Clean cuts. This is professional work. And the convoy wasn't operating on its regular schedule. Wait, sorry. Pew! No, yes, thank you. 2 dead gobs. Sad. Thanks. That's exact replication of the picture. Thank you very much. Anyone who might have known about the order to reroute the convoy's transit could have set us up. I need a list of names, of course. And whatever was taken was clearly special. Does my assignment include its retrieval? And if so, do I get to know what it is? It always pays to show your superiors you can predict them. The more aware they are you know what you're doing, better than they do, the less they bother to get in your way. Sestro, for his part, seems reassured by your surety. He looks at you uncertainly for a moment, as if he might say something. Then he sighs, gets up, turns away from you, and looks out towards the window. You resist the urge to roll your eyes. The kid makes a spectacle of this window whenever he genuinely cares about something, and you're tempted to gently inform him it's a shitty excuse for a poker face every time. But you weren't paid to give advice, so instead you wait to listen. Eventually he speaks. Your powers of perception continue to shine, Miss Ayopara. It's wonderful to know I can rely on you at times such as these. Yeah, kid. Your answer in your head. Oh, no. Yeah, kid, you answer in your head. You wonder if you'll ever be able to get your briefings done without the pointless flattery. You're right, of course. I will need you to discover who from corporate leaks such crucial information to our assailants. And uncovering the identity of the thieves, bringing them to justice will also be among your duties. But your most important task by far is to return our lost cargo to us. While these ruins were originally Biz Canteen and remain designated as such on official records, we have strong reason to believe the location was appropriated by worshippers of... the Vivifier. That earned Sestro your brow, raised in genuine interest. You've heard rumors about the Vivifier, and all the old legends, of course. But even as high up the corporate ladder as you are, this is the first time you've heard the name spoken so seriously. The item that was taken from us was a filter of what we believe to be her own blood. I trust I don't have to explain further why its recovery is so crucial. Sestro is doing that thing where he sort of strokes the glass, all contemplative angst. But even though you feel he does this every time you see him, it doesn't feel tired and empty this once. You think of what stories say about the Vivifier's blood, that it can heal wounds, or create untethered everlasting life. Maybe even save Repeton, if Trollkind understood its mysteries well enough. You can guess well enough that's what Sestro is thinking, at least. Some things never change. I think the situation speaks for itself. Good. Expect a message with your names and any other points of data we feel you may find useful shortly. I expect you to start working on this immediately, you understand? Of course, Mr. Entho. Excellent. Your services are as appreciated as ever, Miss Cecily. If that isn't too forward. Your employer's voice catches on his breath. The hitch would have been imperceptible to most people, but if you were most people, you wouldn't be where you are. You already know what he's going to say, and you're already tired of it. But so much of being a professional is holding your tongue while other people are not. I wish to impress on you that this assignment, this one more than any I've asked of you yet, is truly... You look just past Sestro, to the half-melted, healing mess of glass by his hand. You wonder how much he really believes he can fix this broken world, whether it's with a small vial of one more substance, or really anything else. You suppose the earnestness of the desire is noble, at least. But not all things that shatter heal as easily as glass does. If someone were to ask for your opinion, you suppose you'd say, you believe this world was shattered from the start, that the poison choking it goes down to its deepest center. Sometimes things are just broken, and they stay broken. For good. There's a beat of silence between you. He looks at you, and, for a moment, seems downright vulnerable in the way that almost threatens to move you. Working on the house before my meeting tonight. Nice, nice. Housework good. Maybe it's not the world that's broken. Maybe it's just your heart. Either way, not much about this world holds your interest, and even less seems worth saving. But you suppose if someone has to run this planet, it may as well be this kid, who really seems to want to fix it. You guess that's something. I'm counting on you, Cecily. Thank you. In any case, you're not paid to have opinions, existential or otherwise. Of course, Mr. Entho. We're good. Ooh. You're paid to get results. An hour of prep later, and you have a briefcase full of files, including the deck of Trollodex cards of suspects and potential allies you'll be dealing with on this case. The Trollodex identification system provides a simple card-based interface for field agents and regulators who must interface with large numbers of suspects while managing their caseload. As the name suggests, it was originally a physical filing system. You waving, Crab? Hi, baby. Entire warehouses used to be dedicated just to maintaining the records, but dwindling population size and the marvels of digitization now mean that the whole thing is accessible at any time in any location. Despite the convenience, you still find yourself resorting to the real cards once in a while, when you need to focus on a particularly troubling case. Something about holding a person's life in your hand strengthens your resolve. It's a little strange, but you take your own card with you wherever you go. It sits in the breast pocket just over your blood pusher. If someone wants to run you through, they'll have to do it twice over. That's a little joke you tell yourself. Nobody has managed it so far, and after 12 sweeps, the card has come to be sort of a good luck charm. You keep another card close to your chest, but for different reasons. A promise long overdue. You step through the streets you memorized like a hymnal since you were first accommodated in Stronghold 21 over 10 sweeps ago. It's a brisk winter day. Scarf-adorned trolls don't meet your eyes as you brace against the wind and look at the trees, still green. They're fake, of course, like everything else inside these walls. In truth, you've never felt at ease here. The slick branding and nightlife, the convenience drones and social media stars, booze and sugar for every well-off Lotus Eater, while blood spills across the dying world outside. You step over a crushed soda cup that the automated street sweeper missed and swing your leg over your motorbike. You adjust your helmet and then kick it into gear, letting the purr of the engine carry you out of town. You arrive at the site in the northern wastes a few hours later. It's mid-afternoon, and though the weather was clear and bright all morning, it's still bitterly cold. When you hit the tundra, you entered into a fierce snowstorm, and the last half hour of the journey was spent battling against poor visibility and harsh wind. The blizzard settles down into a light snowfall by the time you reach the convoy, though. 3 guards meet you there, 2 olive bloods and a bronze. They all look extremely bored and cold, and you can't blame them. Hopefully you can wrap up here soon, and they can go home and do the same. Wrap up, you mean. You remove your helmet and shake your hair loose, brushing a few snowflakes off your arms and shoulders. As a bronze blood guard jogs over to where you've parked, you take a moment to survey the scene. Ew! Oh, bright! After taking note of some key points of interest, you turn to face the guard as she greets you. She seems to be the one in charge. Or, rather, she was, until you got here. Once you've exchanged some formalities, flash your card and so on, she walks you through what's happened since the convoy was discovered. In short, she says, not a lot. Nobody has disturbed the scenes, the bodies, or anything else since the preliminary investigation late last night. Security only got wind of the event due to the vehicle's automated system, she says. Other than that, there was no indication of anything unusual taking place. What about before the security backup arrived, you ask? Maybe someone tampered with the scene in the meantime. She says it's possible, but they didn't see any evidence of that when they got here. What about the driver, you ask? She says, what about them? You say that there should be 3 bodies here, but you can only count the 2 guards. She says, oh, right. The subcontractor that's assigned them to the job took the body away this morning. You say that's a pretty loose definition of not disturbing anything. She says, yeah, whatever. You're not surprised, though. Drivers are often equipped and outfitted with company gear and uniforms, and their hands are usually chipped with the activation code for the vehicle they're assigned to. It's only natural that they'd want to recover it as soon as possible. Still, you say, you'll have to chase that up later, and that's paperwork you'd rather not get tied up in. The guard just shrugs, palms up, in the universal language of the chronically underpaid. Alright, you say, you get the picture. She says she guesses you'll be wanting to start the investigation then. You say, yeah, it's been several thousand words already. Please! Let's go. She walks off to reconvene with her 2 colleagues. Throughout an investigation, your main goal is to find key pieces of information. The investigation progress bar on your overhead visor lets you keep track of this. Nobody knows how it works, if you're honest, but it certainly comes in handy. Not everything you find will get that happy little bar moving, but every time you score another insight increment, a little feeling happens in your blood pusher. That feeling is called progress. Alright, let's look at the bodies first. Boink. This is so sad. Can this get 1,000 likes? You make your way over to the 2 corpses lying prone. Looks like you've got a rust blood and a gold blood here. A pair of them are laid out straight, armed by their sides, legs flat against the ground. They're probably on their knees first before they fell forward. No sign of a struggle from where you're standing. A combination of rigor mortis and the temperature means they're now stiffs in the literal sense as well as the metaphoric. Although now that you think about it, you guess the literal sense is where the expression originally came from? Whatever, you're not a wordologist. Slipping on a pair of work gloves and making sure not to disturb the scene too much, you carefully roll the 2 of them over to get a closer look. The things you notice immediately is the wounds. 2 clean cuts, one across either neck. From that you surmise that they probably bled to death. The next thing you notice, almost as immediately, is the expression on their faces. Their eyes and mouths are wide open. They look like they were utterly terrified. The one on the left, the gold blood, was an adult in his mid to late teens. By the look of it. You'd estimate maybe 15 sweeps at a pass. You don't recognize him. Died man. By the way, a sweep is bigger than a year. I forget by how much. I think a sweep is like 3 human years. Question mark? There's something about the younger rust blood on the right that strikes you as familiar. You take a look at... Let's look at the rust blood. Doink. Finish rewatching Steven Universe. The movie... Is the movie in future worth a watch? Movie, definitely. I think future is worth it, but it's divisive. But at the very least, I definitely recommend the movie. I think it's great. Right. You decide to examine the troll you recognize a little more closely. You get a good look at their face and then close your eyes and search your memory. Recall the refectory. As you concentrate, a recollection seems to coalesce out of the void, forming gradually like a bead of water before dropping and splashing across your consciousness all at once. Sweep is 2 years? Oh. I remember because you take Troll Age and then times 2. Okay, I see. Thank you, Jaro. You remember seeing them just once before. It was in one of the various eating halls inside the walls of Stronghold 21 about half a sweep ago. They were around 12 sweeps old at the time, judging by the fact that there was a certain bright optimism in their face which hadn't yet been stamped out. The horror of this world bides its time for some people. How fortunate for them. The encounter wasn't even a proper meeting. They were just some stranger your eyes lingered on a moment longer than usual. You noticed them leaning against a pillar, handheld mobile device in hand, with a distinctly sour expression on their face. The way they were drilling holes into the screen with their eyes gave the impression that they were waiting for someone to get in touch. A frustrating business colleague, maybe? Allmother knows you spend enough corporate hours waiting for the right people to buzz you, and just as much time hoping that they won't all the same. Thank you for the heart, baby. You turn to hand a loop or 3 to the elderly burgundy behind the counter, her horns gnarled and helical. You could remember the exact amount if you cared to, but you're not focusing on it right now. After picking up the freshly boiled soda, carbonated but not glucomated, and the lateral wheat fiber stack, you turned back in their direction. While your back was turned, their face seemed to have morphed into a gleeful, yet still gentle and reserved, expression of pure delight. They were now standing upright, excitedly tapping away at the device in their hands. Their eyes had softened at the corners, and a faint blush danced across their cheeks. Oh, you thought. Of course. Aw, that's sad. You open your eyes, almost regretting the exercise. Your inability to forget can be a cruel thing sometimes. Most of the time, in fact. You search the young Rustblood's body, but don't find anything of note. Just some personal effects, packet of chill drops, a worn photograph. Ooh, their phone. Without thinking, you go to wake it, and you feel a sharp rush of relief as it doesn't light up. The battery must have died overnight. You put it back in their pocket. The last thing you check is the ID tag tied to their ankle with a sense of dread. These things are always rather morbid to look at, but they're an important means of sorting out the mess after a troll kicks it. Or, as in this case, has it kicked for them. Corporate Employment Asset 32200. Byston, Nocent. Designation, Logistical Security. Will/Testament, undocumented. Bodmates, M. Ugh, that last letter curls painfully in your chest. Shit. They've a bonded mate spread out there, somewhere. Someone who just felt a twinge of pain, but doesn't know why yet. Someone whose life won't ever be the same again. Just one more poor soul who'll be filing their temp papers tomorrow, not really knowing how they'll manage it. If they'll manage it. It sure takes you back. You stay there for a while, kneeling beside Nocent's body in the snow. Then you sigh and pull yourself back upright. You take a look at the other guy. Alright, you get a closer look at the gold blood stranger. Besides the neck wound, he doesn't appear to have sustained any other injuries. That strikes you as very odd. You suspect that they were threatened at a distance, since otherwise they wouldn't have knelt without kicking up a fuss. Certainly you'd expect to see some incidental bruising if there was a scuff-up. It would make sense if they were occupied in front, though. Perhaps someone came up from behind in the meantime and... yeah. You pin that explanation to the top of your mental list as the most plausible, for now. You gently search the guy's pockets. There's a couple of loops and spare change, a respite block keycard, the beginnings of a pretty substantial lint collection, a handful of soda bottle caps. Nothing of any importance. Although, who are you to judge? Maybe the lint was his ancestors. From the fact that this stuff was kept in his pocket, you deduce that he wasn't in the habit of using a fetch modus. Same goes for his companion, too. Perhaps they couldn't afford them. Not everyone can. You're about to call it quits here when you glance down at one of his hands. It appears to be holding something. When you prise his fingers open, you take a look at the ID tag around his wrist. Corporate Employment Asset 03220. Avant Neutral. Designation, Logistical Security. Will/testament, undocumented. Bondmates, none. Poor guy. At least he's not leaving anyone behind to suffer sweeps of withdrawal. You don't let that thought carry on. You don't. Finally, you manage to force the hand open. Nestled in the palm is a small, ball-shaped device. The surface has several small holes in it, and there's a flap on the back that looks like a wing case. You recognize it as a maintenance drone. These things are always carried on logistics transports. They're used to check for and fix mechanical problems, since it's unfeasible to have a resident mechanic for every convoy. This one looks like it's been crushed. Did this guy, Neutral, do that? You try and rip a diagnostic from it, but it's probably been out in the cold too long to show any signs of life now. Perhaps this explains why the convoy was stopped in the first place, though. If the vehicle was tampered with somehow, then the first thing the crew would do is try and identify a systems failure. What a nasty trap to walk into. Progress! Da-da-da-dum! Alright, let's go back, baby. What else we got? Let's go from the bottom up. Let's investigate the cargo. You move around to the very rear of the transport, looking for the entry port into the cargo hold. One of the two faceless Alllllright guards sees what you're doing and comes over to point out the access terminal for you. She offers you a keycard, saying she's not authorized to open the door herself. You take it and thank her. You keep quiet about the personal access card in your jacket pocket, the one which, as a regulator, you have the right to carry. You don't need her help, but it's good to let the kids think they're part of something important. You find it hard to think of some of these people as anything but wigglers sometimes. Besides, it's part of your job as a higher-up to not let people feel redundant. At least, right up until the moment they are. Then it's a different story. You wave the borrowed card over the receiver and a loud, harsh buzzing noise signifies that the lock is disengaged, together with an almighty clunk as the bolts retract. You hand the card back to the guard and climb up into the transport. The inside of the hold is lit up in a pale green light, which blinks into life when you open the cargo hold door. One of the bulbs at the far end struggles to come on, sputtering like a sick spark bug. The cargo itself is packed in boxes of varying shapes and sizes, all of which are arranged in a very intricate pattern on a series of shelves. They range from small cubes all the way up to crates taller than you. The arrangement of the cargo is determined via an algorithm, which picks the optimal way to store the eclectic mix of items to be delivered on any given trip. It's a clever system, but sometimes it leads to something very small being packed inside a box which is 4 times larger than it needs to be. That's one of the disadvantages. The other main drawback is that, unless you know the arrangement beforehand, it's very hard to know where any particular item will be. Fortunately, the thieves took care of that for you. That's also the unfortunate part, of course. There's a single empty slot on a shelf about halfway down the length of the transport, roughly the size of a briefcase. The filter must have been taken from here. There are probably hundreds of bands worth of valuable resources in this transport, together with provisions, trade goods, electronics. But the thieves didn't go for any of it. Just the filter. The fact that the rest of the crates weren't disturbed at all also tells you immediately that they knew exactly where to look. The schedule change wasn't the only thing your little snitch spilled the beans on then. The more you find out about this case, the less you like it. And yet, there's something that's beginning to thrill you even now. There's nothing quite like an opponent who knows what they're doing. You duck back out of the hold and the door shuts and locks automatically behind you. Alright, halfway done, baby. Let's do the tires. Also, let me take a sip real quick. Lots of talking. You walk around the bodies in a wide circle and approach the vehicle to get a closer look at the tires. Call it a hunch. The fresh snow is gradually piling up around the transport. The gentle curve between the white and the wheel arches makes it look like the ground is coyly grabbing at the tires, not wanting to let them go. There's something almost tender about it which belies the very real danger. Getting stranded out here in the wastes is not a situation anyone wants to be in. Another hour or so and someone's gonna have to get digging. Your feet plunge a ways down through the frozen mass as you get in close and begin to scrabble away with your hands, carving the wheels out in order to get a better view. The first few you look at don't reveal much. The wheels are in a dual configuration, laid out in pairs along the length of the transport, so you take them 2 by 2. The voice of an old, acquaintance pops into your subconscious while you do this, mumbling inane facts about the vehicle's model, the wheel configurations, tire manufacturing. Ugh, Allmother knows why she tells you this stuff. You have a knack for recalling useful information when it's needed, though, and just like that, you notice that all these tires have been retreaded at least once. For some of them, the process was done very recently, in fact. Retreading wheels this size usually means that it's more expensive to replace them altogether. Going by the age of the vehicle, though, you'd say it's more like a desperate attempt to keep it going as long as possible. This one's probably on its last leg. Last wheels? Last wheels. You reach the last pair of tires and repeat your routine of digging them out with your hands and then skimming around the inside of the guards and wheel arches with your fingers. This time, though, you find something. Your fingers meet a small oblong object, probably no larger than a pack of cards, stuck out of sight on the underside of one of the arches. This is most definitely not supposed to be here. Planting your feet either side of the wheel and bracing, you reach your other hand under the metal rim and pull down hard. It doesn't budge for a moment, but then... pop! With that, the object comes loose very suddenly, and you stumble backwards a little ways. Your grip on it doesn't hold, and it falls out of your grasp and down into the snow, bouncing off the rubber. Righting yourself and dusting a little bit off the snow of your coat, you bend forward to take a look at this thing where it fell. It appears to be the remains of a small box. The casing is burned and charred, half melted and barely holding together. Some wiring is poking out at odd angles, and you can make out something akin to an aerial at one end. It's almost destroyed beyond recognition, but you don't need to be an expert to know what this thing is, what it represents. Sabotage. Alright, let's look at the cockpit. You decide to check the inside of the driving compartment. The driver and the 2 guards were all stationed in the same chamber at the very front of the vehicle. A set of concertinaed steps leads up to the entryway. These got deployed automatically when the doors were opened, and stayed that way since the crew never returned. A fair bit of snow blew inside overnight, so the floor and seats are flecked with white and slush. Besides the mess jointly formed by the inclement weather and the usual layer of trucker detritus, though, there doesn't appear to be any sign of disarray in the compartment. If there was a struggle at any point, it didn't happen here. That means the driver and the 2 guards probably got out of their own accord. You'd think you have a pretty good hunch why. There's an angry red light humming in and out on the main info screen, and an emergency overlay is activated, apparently in response to the driver's extended absence. Since transport convoys play such a huge role in Repetan's socio-economic system, the risk of them getting into trouble is taken very seriously as a matter of survival. A truck driver's chip, while allowing them to activate the vehicle in the first place, also acts kind of like the pin in a grenade, but like if the grenade were designed for safety purposes. This is an unspeakably shitty analogy, but you're going with it anyways. Point being, if the driver is out of the compartment for more than a short period between stops, the onboard computer automatically registers an emergency and backup is called for, in a totally non-explosive manner. It occurs to you that a system which allowed the driver to get out and stretch their legs every once in a while might have resulted in better job satisfaction. Or, rather, it would occur to you if the notion of job satisfaction existed on your planet. You lean over the dashboard and tap a menu icon on the screen, and the warning light fades out one final time. Taking one last glance around, you see an open book with its pages turned down on the far passenger seat. Looks like it must have belonged to one of the 2 guys out front. Cocking your head to one side, you can read the title. I'm looking at a camera that doesn't exist. I forgot stuff like this existed in this. It's called Vord My Bong Water and Look at Me Now, The Turnin' Kai Kai Story. Oh, wow. Someone was a big fan of a certain internet daredevil, apparently. Doesn't look like the uncanny ability to survive pretty much anything rubbed off on their beloved reader, though. The book seems really well-loved. Picking it up, you can see that the spine is broken in several places from overuse, and lots of the pages have been folded over at the corners. Some of them even appear to be missing. That sure was a title. Unfortunately, yes, it really was. Flipping to the front, you take a peek at the nameplate stuck on the inside cover. This book is just dying to be devoured by N. Avant. There's a little heart next to the penciled-in name. You put the book back. You feel like wiping your hands on something. We can look at the surroundings. Why are we done? We didn't look at everything. There. Alright. You decide to scout the surrounding area just to be sure. It's highly likely that the response team missed something when they arrived during the night. Starting with the ground between the transport and the bodies, you begin a sweep for footprints. You establish pretty quickly that the only tracks in the vicinity belong to you, and by comparison with the guard's prints from earlier, your 3 companions. Otherwise, the snow which fell overnight has completely coated the ground in a pristine layer of white, sitting unbroken like fondant on a Yule-passing confection. You don't remember the last time you had one of those. Well, that's not true. You remember it with perfect clarity, just like everyone else. But you'd rather not think about it, so you don't. What's important is that it was a long time ago. And what's more important than that is there's no trace of the culprits to be seen. There's a little hillock in a small ways out from where the transport is stopped. In lieu of any better ideas, you decide to see if a little elevation reveals anything. You trudge your way up the slight incline, boots crunching and squeaking against the ice and snow. From the higher vantage point, you can see the whole scene in one picture. The transport, the bodies, the security team, your bike, and beyond, the field of white patched with streaks of gray and brown and sickly green extends as far as you can see in all directions. There's no sign of anything from up here either. Shit. On the way back down, a harsh wind whips up for a moment, and you grip your long coat around your neck against the chill that it brings. Well, at least the cold isn't toxic. The northern wastes are forever being buffeted by the worst that Repeton's recalcitrant climate has to offer. Almost nobody lives here. The region seems to exist as somewhere to be traveled across, rather than a real place in and of itself. And while such places can sometimes be enjoyable to pass through, the very opposite is true here. The wastes strike you as more of a cruel joke than anything else. A deadly expanse, separating 2 of the planet's most populous regions. Its traversal is a perpetual nightmare, logistically and otherwise. You arrive back at the crime scene with no better idea of the situation than where you left. An absence of information can itself be an important detail, but there are no insight increments to be had this time. You'll need to try something else. Alright, we're done. By now, the light is starting to dim. You've checked everything you wanted to, and it's about time you began to head back to the stronghold. This report isn't going to submit itself, you think bitterly. You've tried that one before. You thank the guards for their help and let them know that they can start clearing up here. The olive blood from earlier is looking pretty flushed. Presumably from the cold. Hopefully, she gets someplace warm. You make your departure with a curt nod and then walk back over to your bike. Some of the snow has begun to pile up on the seat. You brush it off and swing one leg over before starting the engine up. Before getting it out of here, you get one last look at the scene. Take in the bodies, the vehicle, the endless white. You try and picture in your mind that last frantic moment in the dead of night when 3 people's lives were cut short. In a few hours, this place will be empty again. Nothing but some blood beneath the snow to mark what happened here. But you'll remember. Ooh. I'm adjusting. Alright. As night continues to fall on the journey home, you find yourself running over the few scraps of information you were able to find. The absence of any fighting, the sabotage of the vehicle, the pinpoint accuracy of the robbery itself. Something doesn't quite make sense here. The execution was just a little too perfect, in both senses of the word. If it was just your average cultist job, you'd expect a little less finesse. Most of these fanatics haven't even heard of the word finesse, let alone got enough to carry out a scheme this flawless. Could it have been an inside job? It doesn't seem particularly likely, and yet the intel that leaked had to come from somewhere. Someone. But what reason would corporate have to steal from their own convoy? Could it have been a ruse to shake potential third parties off the trail? Sistro seems so righteous in his office, despite the theatrics. You've known that boy since he was a Wiggler, and something tells you he'd never sign off on something like this. But if not him, then maybe... Ugh. This isn't getting you anywhere. This case is just getting started. It's no good seeing threats for no reason. That's never the best move on the table. Hi, Roman. Hey! We're playing a visual novel called Snowbound Blood. It's very good. It's mystery. You need much more information. Beep! 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 Suddenly, an alert rings out from your visor, jolting you out of your train of thought. Someone is trying to contact you. This strikes you as unusual for two different reasons. Firstly, the caller information is withheld. Whoever it is has something to hide, almost offering themselves up as a suspect from the outset. Suspicious calls on the way back from crime scenes don't tend to be inquiries after your health. The second reason is that you haven't had a personal call in ages. Opinions on Tears of the Kingdom trailer. It was good. I think that a nice beefy trailer like that was a good last thing to give us before the game comes out next month. I'm happy that Ganondorf is back. He's cool. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't want to form too much of an opinion on a game far before it comes out, you know? I'd rather go in with as little personal opinions as I can. The German voices are great. Hell yeah. Are the names still the same? I assume that, like, the main character names would still all be the same. I don't know about Ganondorf or some other characters, though. Alright, yes, cool. You pick up. I'm so glad you were assigned to this case. When your name flashed up on my interface, I knew this was all worth it. I've been following your work. You know. Too many trolls on this planet don't appreciate the really skilled. Obsessed with idle celebrity, sucking down whatever swill your paymasters feed them. But I respect you. You deliver your idea of a good face to face. You should be famous, Cecily. Everyone should know the trail of bodies you've left behind. How did you get this contact? That's a tedious question. You can do better. Dwarf actually means in German village. I figured dwarf would mean something. Also, what game? Roman's talking about the new Legend of Zelda game that's coming out next month. Tears of the Kingdom. A new trailer just dropped this morning that's like 3 minutes long. It's quite good. Roman, if you want to link it, go ahead. I don't mind. And I think that all the bots that fuss about links are not on, or at least aren't filtering links. Alright, fine. What can you tell me about the scene I just left behind? You're trying to scope out the how much I know. 1 second. Ooh. There we go. Alright, sorry, I just had to finagle with a machine that was fussing. You're trying to scope out how much I know. Still just trying to find the bounds of my power. A standard opening. Safe. But you can't play for the draw here. There's simply too much on the line. You focus on what's happened, and when won't bring you any... your focus on what happened and when won't bring you any closer to understanding. To triumph, you can't just take your orders and march. You've talked yourself in circles, and you call me tedious. Answer the question. 100 trucks cross the remote corners of this disgusting planet every day. 100 containers of valuables, raw materials, fodder for craft, fruits of the labor of thousands of trolls. Each part contaminated by greed and filth, but only the blood was taken. Why? Do you know its properties? I want to help you understand. I really do. You will, by the end. I think you'll agree with me, too. You've been purging this planet of refuse for so long. You've done nothing to convince me you're not part of it. We're all part of it, lapdog. I'm going to give you the tools to break your chain. Idyllic Acris, plus 2.111. 2 days. Listen close. The call clicks out. Nothing but the sound of wind whipping past you and the hum of your motor left to accompany you as the sun fully disappears beyond the horizon and your headlamp shines into the distance. I always do. You make the rest of the journey back to the stronghold without additional excitement. As you approach the outer walls, you get a message from one of your superiors. Looks like they tried to call you while you were talking to... whoever that was. 2 in 1 day. You'd think something was wrong. Oh, wait. The message is just a room number and a meeting time. Efficient as always. A few minutes later, and you're walking back in through the dimly lit foyer of the corporate headquarters. A short elevator ride finds you striding past mostly empty cubicles, soda coolers, and falsified office foliage. The trolls still here are the late-night strivers, eager to prove themselves. Could they be eager to atone? To assuage their own guilt? You make a mental note of everyone around out of habit, but quickly cut that train of thought off before it goes anywhere. No point in being unnecessarily suspicious of people, not at this stage. On the far side of the floor, at the end of a hallway, a tall figure stands waiting. As she sees you coming, she beckons once, then vanishes into one of the many doors lining both sides of the corridor. You hurry onward, managing to catch the door before it closes and sidle your way in quietly. Let me take another sip, baby. Good sips. 1 hour of straight reading. Whew! There's already new artwork for other characters, like official art or fan art? Because, like, of course there'd be fan art. No way there wouldn't be fan art. Official art? Nice. I'm gonna have to take a peek. Some of the characters seemed very cute. Alright, back to it though. The corporate building seems to have more conference rooms than they know what to do with. Certainly more than any normal company could use. Then again, normality is a concept that tends to get left behind when you're dealing with the end of the world. It's very dark in here. There's barely any light to see by, apart from the faint glow from your overhead visor and the occasional flash of lightning outside. You consider trying to find a light switch, but then perhaps that would ruin the effect. Here she is. Ugh. The tall, shadowy figure that was in the room when you entered steps into a shaft of light, and you can make her out clearly for the first time. Recall Hamifi. Hamifi Hecrix may be more of a no-nonsense corporate cutthroat than her knitwear-loving matesprit, but she has the same underlying instinct for dramatic flair bordering on the comical. They were almost made for each other. You have to remind yourself that this is, in fact, very literally true. But between her skulking in the shadows and him looking forlornly out of windows every few moments, it's a wonder these kids get any work done. Now, the effective second-in-command of the corporate machine is standing in front of you, with an expectant look on her face. She's holding her signature clipboard, a weapon of choice for a ruthless itinerarian. Alright, let's get to it. She doesn't bother saying anything. She just clicks the end of her pen once, somehow managing to make it sound like a question. You both know she's here for your report on the burglary, so you get right to it. Your eyes drift shut as you begin to recount the afternoon's findings. Something about the darkness makes it easier, like you're giving the information to an emptiness to fill up. Your mouth moves of its own accord, recalling everything in discrete, itemized chunks. All the while, the faint scratching of a pen on paper accompanies your low murmur. It's an odd kind of music the two of you make together sometimes, a routine that's familiar despite the business atmosphere. Eventually it dies down, your story comes to an end, and you open your eyes again. Hamifi has stopped writing. She's looking down at her clipboard deep in thought, brows slightly furrowed. After a few moments of silence, though, she looks at you again and speaks for the first time. Oh, this voice. This voice. Oh, hydrate. I will. Liquid! Thank you very much. I will have some water. I need it. Also, hi, Miss Puffles. Also, thank you for the posture check. Alright, no one be shrimping. Stretch your backs out if you're sitting bad. Ooh. Posture has been checked. I was slouching a smidge, thank you. Hi. Hi. Hello, hello. We're playing a visual novel mystery, thingy story called Snowbound Blood. It's very good. We're just at the beginning of it right now. I gotta make sure I take breaks sometimes, because otherwise my voice is gonna explode. I was standing. Oh, wow, look at you. I was rocking back and forth. Oh. Well, either way, if you were sitting poorly, adjust. If you weren't, maybe just get a little bit of a stretch in. Crack up those bones. Alright. Anyway, I get distracted for a bit there. Let's get into it. Hamifi voice. I think I'm just also gonna go kind of no-nonsense normal. In your opinion, what sort of people are we dealing with here? Her voice is proper, professional, poised. I'm not sure. There are several reasonable possibilities with varying degrees of mutual exclusivity. The only certainty is that, whoever they are, they have some kind of connection with corporate. The amount of information they must have had access to speaks to that. I can't say if it's anything as serious as a mound mammal within the organization or just a matter of bad bookkeeping. Her eyes narrow at that suggestion. But either way, there's clearly some avenue through which these people were able to exploit internal information for their own ends. The heist was far too clean. Too perfect. But it was, well, almost impressive. Hamifi is frowning openly now and cuts your hypothesizing short with an upraised hand. This robbery was far from a watertight operation, Miss Ayopara, and you of all people should understand why. There was one key detail which demonstrates it. The bodies at the scene, the murder of our employees. That was a mess. That was uncalled for. An unforgivable waste of troll resources. The theft itself was so perfect that the deaths were clearly unnecessary. Anyone with that complete of a picture of the situation should have managed to avoid bloodshed altogether. You made it sound as though you almost respected these people, but this isn't a game that you're playing. No comment. These criminals aren't an opponent to be challenged. They're a scourge to be cleansed. Their blood on the snow, just like the mess they left behind. That's 3 more empty jobs I have to fill somehow. That's more temp work that needs to be done. That's something else sucking us dry while we try and fix this entire planet. Another vital asset plucked from our grasp as I, work tirelessly, endlessly against the clock. Time is not on our side. This crime is a mockery pointed straight at corporate itself. Though her voice has barely changed in volume this whole time, to you it sounds like Hamifi has begun shouting by this point. Her words are ice cold and dripping with anger. Snowbound Blood. Ooh! Off topic, I've decided to watch Static Shock. Yeah, hey. I've heard they're making a new Static Shock. I wonder if it's gonna be any good. Also, Roman, you said you were on Twitter and saw AI art discussion. Oh, I don't even want to get into that. Ooh, no, I'm good. Oof. No thanks. Anyway, I'll get back to this now. Just wanted to address it, so you didn't think I was ignoring you or anything. I just don't want to talk about it. You don't know how to respond to this, and so you elect not to say anything altogether. Years of experience tell you that in situations like these, The best move is to not make one. You're in Zugzwang. Mifi breathes in and out pointedly for a few moments, before seeming to collect herself once more as her face enters imperceptibly back to an expression of complete calm. Sestro may take a more lax approach to deploying corporate assets, but I'm never one to let a good thing go to waste. Just remember, Messiah Para, you are as much an investment as any of our other initiatives, and safeguarding investments is where I come in. This investigation may run darker and more foul than you realize. Don't trust anyone. Ooh. Well, this is new. She seems cautious, almost like she's nervous about something. She gives you a very direct look with this last warning, and you can tell that she knows about your little bit of fan mail. The fact that someone else was contacting you so soon after leaving the crime scene is enough to make her suspicious. Perhaps rightfully so. But all the same, it strikes you as more than a little wigglerish. Don't worry, Miss Heckrix. I'm not about to get into the habit of it now. But any potential pockets of useful uncertainty should be examined and exploited before being discarded. You, of all people, should be able to appreciate that. I didn't get so far in my career without being open to every possibility. I highly doubt there will be any kind of confrontation. This person seems too content to hide in the shadows. And even if there is, just you remember. My winning streak has been going since before you and your betrothed were hatched. It's not going to end at the hands of some anonymous prankster. See to it that it doesn't. You are no use to us otherwise. And with that, your superior clicks the end of her pen in a way that lets you know that this meeting is over, as quickly and abruptly as it began. She glides over to the door and leaves without sparing you a second glance. You don't hang around either, but by the time you're back out in the corridor, she's already vanished. It's not Homestuck Day, it's Neil's Day. He's been jamming for 17 years. It's also Homestuck Day. Multiple things can be in one day. Smile. Your head is full. Something isn't adding up here, and the call you got is the biggest variable. You need some space and time. You walk past the row of cubicles, aware of anxious eyes on you. Sestro is often nervous, fretting, obsessing about one threat or another. He crams so much history into his head, you think maybe he just starts reliving it sometimes, seeing portents of a second renaissance around every corner. It's understandable, though. He's the mask, the public face, the direction everyone's facing while Hamifi does all the dirty work. And the problem with being the mask is that you have to look back at them. But seeing Hamifi paranoid, that's rare. And now that you have time to think about it, it strikes you as unsettling. You've watched the two of them go through a lot of moods over the sweeps, settling into their roles and assuming authority. Hamifi took to it more comfortably than her mates spread, or at least appeared to. You wonder what she knows that you don't. What would lead to her unusual show of concern, filtered as it is through a desire to protect the company. The open-ended possibilities start to close in on you. You get a constriction in your chest from being surrounded by those you've been told not to trust. You're getting caught up in speculation. Before you know it, you're back in the elevator, soft music blurring to a mindless din in your ears. You breathe a sigh of relief when the door is shut without anyone else coming in. You don't have idle conversation in you right now. A very long time ago, you learned a number of exercises to deal with overwhelming feelings from a good friend. Call it an old therapy takeaway. As the elevator takes you up, 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 you make a repetitive little motion with your hands, a ritual of calm. 4 fingers on your left hand, tap your right palm twice. Then you switch. Fingers on your right hand, tapping the left palm. Tap, 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 tap. It helps you center yourself and focus as you exit the elevator on the top floor and take a single flight of stairs to the roof. Sorry for another random thing. I saw Japan McDonald's made a One Piece ad with the original opening, but Roger takes a burger. I don't know if it was the burger one or if it was like a ramen one, but I remember seeing a One Piece ad that was like extremely well animated recently. I was just like, what? Why? But okay. I mean, that's cool. Right? Like, exerting that amount of animation effort for a commercial is kind of funny. Anyway. The cool air is a deliverance. You walk to the edge of the building and look out on Stronghold 21. Pastel neon lights suffuse the streets. The bass of faraway music of the Stronghold's nightlife thumps distantly. Colorful advertisements flicker on LED screens. This week's Skyrim release! A new brand of sugary fizz! The 101st season of Who Wants to Be a Hyperlooper? That show hasn't been the same since the young man lost on it and destroyed the original set, before spiraling into a full-blown cult leadership. But that's a story for another time. It's easy to look inside these walls and see what the revelers on the streets see. This is a society without scarcity, of productivity and prosperity. But every bright light casts a shadow. You think of bodies, face down in the snow. Bondmates getting an impersonal phone call that will break them. A deep, breathing voice taunting you over a voice link. You think of 1,000 reasons someone would turn against this world. You think of more why someone outside of it would steal, kill, break, just to tear it down. The breeze gives you a chill. Lines of probability start to firm up in your mind. This world is balanced on precipice. And somewhere out there, a conspiracy has emerged to steal a piece of its history, one that may push it over the edge. It's up to you. Time to make a plan. Da-da-da-da! Yes, that was for ramen, the detailed one. Ah. Alright, that was just a lovely taste of the first of the volumes. There's a lot of volumes, by the way. It's almost done. I think the final thing of this game hasn't come out yet. If I had a nickel for every time a parody version of Roger execution at the first opening this year, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice. Yes, that is strange. You're correct. Alright. So 1 is done. Alright, volume 2, business and busy work. A theft has occurred in the northern wastes. Stolen a filter of the Vivifier's blood, said to have supernatural properties. In charge of the investigation, yourself. You have your orders, and you have a case to solve. You think you should start close to home. Known quantities. You've got 2 candidates in mind to interview first. You choose. Who do we choose? Actually, I'm gonna do a little poll, baby. Here. Oops. We're gonna do one of these today, and then the next one next time. Right. We'll make this a 5-minute poll so that I can take some time to munch. Let's see. Alright. Poll. Start. Alright. Y'all get to pick. Who's it gonna be? Are we going to see Raipet Koldan or Suraj Feltri first and today? The other one we'll see later. I should put on some music while we're just chilling and waiting, huh? The odds of a tie. If we do a tie, then I'm just gonna roll a dice. Right now we're at 1 and 1, actually. We're straight down the middle. Anyone else want to vote on who we see? Gonna put some jams on while we wait. This is a good one. Sure. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Hey, Alistair. I'm waiting on a poll right now. Hello, hello. Who are we gonna go for? Please help break the tie. Yeah, someone break the tie. Come on, bud. Taking an extended blink and turning into a square real quick, bud. 1 sec. Alright, hello. I've returned. Meow meow. Look! Suraj is winning! Clap clap! The tie has been broken! We still have a good chunk of time. I'm using this opportunity to snack. Munch, munch, munch. Suraj is winning! You can thank me. I'll thank you when it turns out that one wins and not that someone else votes for the other one again to make it a tie again. There sure was an easy way to show the poll on the stream, but unfortunately, I don't have anything like that set up right now. I'm once again reminding everyone that the poll's still going. We have a little smidge of time left. Suraj is winning, but only by 1. Will Suraj or Ripite? Yes, Ripite or Suraj win here. They kind of match. Look, isn't it cute? Maybe that's on purpose, smile. This kind of stream is nice. Just kind of like thinking about it, like where small talk I have to make is kind of minimal, aside from just like talking to folks in chat, because I'm reading the whole damn time. Like, I don't want to small talk over it when I'm trying to read the thing proper. Oh, Suraj got 1 more. All right. It looks like she's just straight up gonna be winning. She's 3 votes versus Ripite only getting 1. Personally, I would have been voting for Ripite, but I do like both of these guys. I think they're fun. Thank you, Streamlabs. We do have a Discord. This is true. Wow. Oh, da-da-da-da! Suraj wins! In a kind of landslide, I guess. Yay! Alright. And with that, I put my meat away. It's ham. Smile. I put it away and we can continue forward. We're gonna do 1 more today and then I will scoot my boots. These names are interesting. They're troll names. They're all like this, honestly. Doom bom beep bom deep bom bom. Hee hee hee. Alright, we're going with Suraj. Boink. Let me lose that. There we go. Okay. Suraj Feltry, the obvious choice. According to your intel, she had a shipment of goods coming in on the very same truck that was carrying the Vivifier's blood. Not only that, but she's a fairly high-ranking middle manager for one of corporate's social media enterprises, Scorp. Information is literally her business. Plus, there's something else. Something the allegation algorithms picked up, which places her even more squarely in the suspect zone. Whispers of a murky past. You'd planned to meet at her office and deal with this quietly, but earlier today, when you had stopped by, the receptionist said that he hadn't seen her since before the Weisend. Feltry hadn't turned up to work, and hadn't buzzed ahead to answer why. Not so much as a sick note, not answering calls either. He offered to leave a message on your behalf, but you were out the door before he could finish the sentence. Playing hard to get, on the day after a heist, might as well have handed in a confession note there and then. If worst comes to worst, you'll have to organize a search party. At the very least, you need to pick up some kind of trail. So now you've hit the streets, and hit them good and hard. Like, you've tied the streets up for an interrogation and slapped them around a bit. Tell me where she is, you say, but they're not talking. You cut through one of the parks in the center of the stronghold, making for your personal garage while you download some more of Feltry's personal details to your overhead. You're walking briskly, the pedestrians and plants, wildlife and wayfaring strangers blurring by as you concentrate on the task at hand. Your long coat starts to do that thing where it, billows out dramatically behind you and stuff. Not that it would occur to you, of course, but it looks cool as shit, and we're all very impressed. Strolling couples part to let you through. Urban cornfowl scatter squabbling to the winds at your approach. You take a recreational kick sphere to the head and don't even care. The game is on. You have her Trollodex card up on the visor, ready to bounce it through the regulatory's internal system and sick some grunts on this fugitive. You have orders aplenty, and boy do you love giving them. But then, as you round a corner, you come to a sudden stop. It takes a moment for you to even realize why, before your eyes refocus, looking past Feltry's card on the screen. On a park bench, a little ways off, is your suspect. You can't tell if she's awake or asleep, but either way, she's clearly in a rough state. She's sprawled haphazardly over the seat, face down, arms and legs pointed in random directions, and her business attire in utter disarray. Her hair is a mess of tangled black curls, one shoe is making its absence known, and a briefcase appears to have become lodged in a nearby garbage cylinder. It's a scene of perfect chaos. You feel your shoulders slump in disappointment. This has to be the shortest game of Purr Beast and Squeak Rodent you've ever had in all the long sweeps of your career. And here you were, getting into the swing of things. The very least she could have done is made an effort. But maybe the scene is just a little too perfect, too pristine in its panic, implausibly inventive in its incongruity. It's just seriously and altogether too batshit. Could it all be part of some elaborate ruse to lull you into a false sense of security? You've definitely seen weirder strategies for avoiding capture. If she's trying to throw you for a loop, it won't work. You don't jump for chump change. You approach with caution. No sudden sounds, moves, or anything else. You are in the polar opposite of suddenness in every respect. Your advance is so slow that one of the cornfowl from earlier lazily flies down and, with complete lack of abruptness, perches on your left horn. Perhaps she mistook you for some unusually fast-moving foliage. Oh, we have a bot, baby. Goodbye. Here. Let me report chat. Yes. It is spam. Yes. Spam. Yes. There. Alright. User is blocked. Message is deleted. Got him. Anyway. Interruptions aside. Any glacial attempts to swat the plumed pest away are futile. Your sluggish wafts are a mere caress to the indifferent animal. That's just how unsudden you're being. Suddenly, a phone rings. Motherfuck! The slumped figure immediately springs to life at the noise, flailing wildly for a few moments, before toppling sideways off the seat with a loud crash. You brace, ready for her to make a run for it, but instead she stands bolt upright and starts to contort every which way in a desperate hunt for her mobile. Her hand comes up to her ear, and... oh, so that's where her other shoe was. Hello? Hello? She near bellows down her smart casual phone before realizing the mistake. Then she throws her hands up in frustration and the boot over her shoulder. It lands in a tar pond a short distance away. Before she can find the real thing, the ringtone stops, in a manner which can only be described as spontaneous. Oh, you have got to be shitting me. She looks all around now, starting to collect her scattered belongings. She picks a few leaves out of her hair before turning to see her shoes slowly disappear into the black sludge. Fuck. She doesn't seem to be the least bit aware that you're here. You try to give one of your signature ahems. Ahems tread and tested their sweeps of stoic arrivals. A cough that could only announce royalty. Hey, achoo! The plan blows up in your face with remarkable literality. Your allergies are having none of that shit. It must be thanks to your flighty friend, who took off in all the ruckus. It's not the first time a bird has left you. Go ahead! Fly away, you feathered fuck! But you just remembered. Cecily Ayapara never forgets. I can see this channel is becoming a channel for graphic novels. Dating sims win. I don't know, bud. What? This keeps happening. Also, hi Ricky. Hope you're doing well. VitoTube hates me. I'm here though. Meow meow. Visual novels are fun. I think this is gonna be a good one to go through. I don't know if I want to do just dating sims, but having one to do is fun. Alright, forget the foul. Cut to the chase. Like you said, you're literally incapable of forgetting anything. And you already did the chase, if you recall. It's what got you here in the first place. Speaking of recalling, if you haven't already done so, then now would be a good time to recall some salient facts about the suspect. You know, the suspect? The woman who's the best lead you have in this case so far? The one who probably wheeled around in surprise when you honked to high heaven out of nowhere just now? Quickly, she might get away! Alright, Suraj Feltri. What's the lore, baby? You scour your think pan for anything else you might have on her, something that might give you an advantage. Fortunately, you don't have to dig too deep. There's another reason this girl is so high on your hit list, besides her direct connection to the scene of the triple murder burglary. Burglary? Note to self, try that out on someone sometime. You remember, several sweeps ago, that there was a notorious group of vagabonds who made their business breaking into pre-Renaissance ruins and plundering them of their treasures. Mostly, they were after religious artifacts, but quite a large number of gems and the like were also made off with. Practically worthless in this day and age, though there are still some who put a price on prettiness. In any case, this gang was getting to be quite a problem for corporate, since so many of their interests are also tied up in the antiquarian. But for magnanimous reasons, of course. You've been hot on their wag stump for a few weises when the trail went cold. Real cold. Like, totally fucking freezing, in fact. It was right in the middle of the northern waste when you lost them. From what you managed to piece together afterwards, something happened to the group that caused them to disband. You never found out why. But, whatever the reason, the robbery stopped, and that was good enough. What does that have to do with her? Question mark. Suraj ended up on the corporate payroll a short time afterwards, along with her mate Sprit. Just some blue guy who you may or may not have talked to already. Alright, let's interrogate, baby. Anyway, that's quite enough tomfoolery for one investigation. You ready to get this thing back on track without any more shenanigans? From here on out, it's only business. You're quite certain that nothing else outlandish and stupid will happen. In fact, you're putting money on it. That's just how serious you're being. After moments, no, minutes of searching, the girl you've been hunting down is finally within sight. You're about to blow this case wide open. You can feel it. She's like dead. You make your way over. Suraj Feltri, I presume you know who I am. She doesn't respond. I need to ask you a few questions regarding an ongoing investigation. Your cooperation is appreciated, as it is mandatory. Oh. Still nothing. She's staring blankly at you, swaying a bit on her unbalanced feet. Your silence won't save you, Feltry. I know of your involvement in this case. You may have given us the slip initially, but now I see the boot is on the other foot. You made a rookie mistake when you decided to get some beauty sleep in a public park. I'm not sure what kind of tactic that was supposed to be. Frankly, this has been the least engaging pursuit I've ever had the misfortune of undertaking. I didn't even get to order a driver to chase down a cab or anything. You have let us all down, Feltry, so start talking. Oh, not a peep. Her eyes are almost pointing in opposite directions from how unfocused she is right now. The swaying is getting more apparent. Her mouth is open a little, but she's making no effort to talk at all. She's, drooling a bit? Yeah, she's just asleep at this point. How did she manage to do that in the brief few seconds before you made your way over? It's also kind of amazing how she's managing to stay upright like that, truth be told. It doesn't last much longer, though. Ka-chunk. You catch her as she topples over, all semblance of grace lost in the woozy black ichor of sleep. Like a solitary shoe, sinking slowly beneath the waves. You have got to start working on your metaphors. What sort of introspective protagonist are you even supposed to be without a good grasp of this kind of thing? Hardly one worth her seasoning minerals. The suspect is now cradled in your arms, snoring gently. Despite losing her grip on consciousness, she's still managing to hold on tightly to her soda cup somehow. She turns her face into your chest a bit and begins drooling all over your lapel. Just full-on rubbing that stuff in, like she's giving your coat a spit and polish with extra spit. This is just completely unacceptable. This coat was a gift from someone a long time ago. It's irreplaceable, and what's worse, dry clean only. You still need to question her. There's no way she's coming back to your office in this state. There's only one thing for it. Her place it is. In one motion, you grab her by the waist, lift her up, and sling her over one shoulder. You hook up her briefcase with the end of Proserpina's scabbard and swing that over the other. Then you start walking. The receptionist wasn't at all surprised to see you lug his superior in through the front entrance. He just handed you a spare key and waved you upstairs, almost bored. That was about half an hour ago now. Since then, you've been waiting in her office for her to wake up. You took the chance to get a good look at the place while she dozed. There's a lot of stuff here. A good amount of it is standard corporate office fare, but there's still lots of personality about the room. She's got an old pre-Renaissance style television in here, along with an enormous stack of old movies. Most of the films are thrillers, with a good deal of horror splattered here and there. A pile of notes bounced precariously on top has a list of star ratings and some scribbled bits of analysis. There's also a remarkable amount of gems scattered about, along with several of those little eyeglasses people use to look at them. You have a feeling there's a pun to be made there, somehow. Looping back around to look at the other side, you notice a few scale replicas of ancient Repetonian ruins, ancient Repetonian architecture. Nobody really knows what the original buildings were intended for. Each one is meticulously painted, and constitutes of hundreds of small pieces. No doubt about this, these pyramid schema are surely works of dedication and care. Ugh. Oh. Sounds like she's awake. Without really paying you any mind, she slowly starts going through some of the files on her desk, wincing with every movement. No rest for the wicked, you guess. Her arms and hands are moving almost automatically, reaching for pens and papers without looking. She looks very tired, despite having just had 2 naps back to back. She sighs and looks over at you. Can I help you, Regulator Ayapara? Or are you and my second best chair just getting to know each other? Oh, so it looks like she did notice you here after all. That's weird. Despite the greeting, she keeps her nose buried in what she's doing. At least introductions won't be necessary. She's already right where you need her. No need to play games anymore. I'll be brief, Feltry. You are currently the most credible suspect in an incident which has shaken the corporation to its foundations. 3 employees have been killed, and an irreplaceable item is missing. Something which in the wrong hands could spell disaster for this entire planet. You have a direct connection to the incident, as well as the position and potential to have leaked out valuable information to anyone wishing to carry it out. Okay. Well, I don't really have the energy right now to process the fact that I'm apparently a murder suspect or whatever. or make a big stink about denying it, which would only make my head hurt worse. So let's assume I already did that in like a really passionate, overblown, but still decidedly innocent fashion, and carry on like two people who know how to be professional regarding the incident. Oh, I already heard about it. I don't know anything specific, of course, since I don't really spill that stuff this far down the chain of command. I know enough to be sure that has nothing to do with me, at least. But if you're certain you need to talk with me about it anyway, then we might as well get it over with. Missing this morning. You've got some explaining to do, Feltry. I'm sure you can appreciate that. Absent from the office on such a crucial day as this, a day still stained in corporate blood, slowly defrosting though it may be. If you weren't already directly connected to the scene of the incident, I doubt your credibility could come under harsher scrutiny. What in Caparia's name were you doing? Sleeping during corporate hours? There could be no worse transgression, if you weren't a triple burglary suspect, that is. Incidentally, I am trying out that word as part of corporation's new efficiency drive. Already, the contraction has saved a non-zero amount of my time today. Was it enough to offset the time you just wasted explaining it to me? Or with the headache it caused? Ugh, didn't think so. Look, I just got a bit lost on the way to work today is all. Maybe I just overdid it a bit over the Weiss end. Let things get to me a bit too much. Ended up doing something stupid. Again. Fuck, I have so much work to do. And enough fires of my own to stamp out to be dealing with you bigwigs. She takes a big swig of the boiled soda on her desk as she says this. At least, you presume it's soda, a fact which comes easily enough from the evidence at hand. Namely, that it's in a soda cup. You know, one of those things with the removable plastic lids, the little sleeves they put around them to stop the hot liquid from scalding you or whatever. Time was, getting second-degree burns from your pre-work pop was considered best praxis for a corporate hand. None of this soft skin avoidance of bodily harm and blisters. How things have changed. How about the Weissend whereabouts? Let's establish alibi then, if you even have one. How do we know that you couldn't have carried this out yourself? I don't have any record of your location since you clocked out at the end of last Weiss. What's to say that you didn't take a little trip to the Northern Waste for a few days? I mean, you understand that the words you're saying right now are actually ridiculous, right? First of all, how could anyone take a trip to the Waste like that just on a whim? It didn't stop you think to yourself. But then again, if you really suspected her of doing the same, it'd require you to think of her as competent as you. You don't know that you'd go that far. I mean, yeah, it is sure. It'd be one thing if you had an organized group or something, but that place is dangerous. Ow! You wouldn't catch me there again in a million sweeps. Anyway, about the Weissend. I was just spending some quality time with a friend. An old vibing buddy from the way back. This lady's barely in her teens, sweep-wise, right? Is there even enough of her life for any of it to constitute a way back when? Or for that matter, for any of her imbibing friends to be considered old? Just wait till she hits her 20s. Then she'll understand. We were just two good pals, hanging out, watching dumb cartoons, ingesting liquids of varying toxicities. You know, nothing fancy. I remember it must have been the same time as it all went down because I got a call from freight tracking people saying my delivery had been postponed indefinitely. And right after that, I had the hex breathing down my neck about a data leak through Scorp or some BS like that. Worse Weissend and sweeps. Your regulatory senses twinge for a moment. Some of the younger corporate employees have some interesting vernacular for their superiors. The Hex refers to a certain Jade Blood Auxiliatrix. It's supposed to be a pun on her name and something else which you don't understand. You haven't managed to find out what they call you when your back is turned, though. You mentioned a friend. I presume you're confident that they could reasonably corroborate your story. Yeah. He's with technical for the corporation too, so you'll probably be hitting him up later anyway. Although, don't like actually hit him or I'll kill you. Your sword hand twitches. Did she seriously just threaten her chief regulator during an interrogation? Breathtaking insubordination. The temerity of this fucker knows no bounds. But her gaze softens and she flashes you a tired smile. Just kidding. Siraj is shipment. Shipment. You're kidding me. I'm Borkian again? Why he Borkian? I'm gonna reset this one more time, and if not, I'm just gonna be a funny avatar in the corner. Come on, baby. Pretty please. There we go. We're fixed. For now. Da-da-da-dum. I wouldn't be so sure you have nothing to do with this incident, Feltree. You were expecting a shipment, one that was due to arrive on the same convoy that ended up in the northern wastes with 3 personnel dead. One which had been specifically rescheduled in order to avoid detection by parties with ulterior motives. That's about as direct a connection as it gets. Wait, you think I knew about the convoy? Listen, all I did was order some new sparkly shit on the internet and pay for the shipment. An order which, incidentally, has no inkling of arriving anytime soon. I don't even have access to that kind of information, and even if I did, I had absolutely not a fucking clue about whatever important stuff you higher-ups were smuggling around on it. You're telling me is the first I've heard of it. So, good job keeping that a secret, Chief Regulator. She says that kind of like an insult. You suppose for certain kinds of people it might as well be one. And while we're at it, if this thing is really so hells of dangerous, then what in Allmother's name were you people thinking transporting it through a corporate convoy? Those things are all kinds of unreliable. Just about the worst way you could think to try and sneak something valuable around. Anyway, that's just my opinion. While I've been talking, she's continued diligently working through the amount of paperwork strewn about, like she's used to long hours of blitzing through this stuff, mindless of any distractions. All the while, she's been taking sips from the soda cup that somehow made it through all the mayhem earlier, intact and unspilled. This woman knows how to hold onto a drink, that's for sure. This interrogation is not nearly as insightful as you were hoping. Certainly not for someone the allegation algorithms had down as a dead cert. You never did like having a computer tell you what to think. She's definitely hiding something. That much is clear. If this were a different kind of sleuthing game, perhaps there would be a potent visual metaphor here that you could grapple with. Like maybe some giant chains and padlocks or something else to symbolize the fact that yes, this is a character with secrets to keep. That would have been nice. But no, you've just got your suspicions. As usual. Well, that's not quite right. You have something else on her after all. Maybe it's about time you used it. Rogue recollections. Alright, Feltree. I'll play fair, as I always do. There's another reason I'm sitting here talking to you today. Another implication that places you close to the heart of this incident. Another blight on your business credentials. And something tells me that it's the reason why you're more familiar with the waste than you may care to admit, let alone the corporate logistic detail. The movement of her pen slows, just a bit. Through wary eyes, she's paying you more attention now than ever before, while still affecting an air of disinterest, trying to hide in plain sight. A few sweeps ago, I was tasked with breaking up a ring of artifact smugglers. People who couldn't let the past lie, so to speak. They were giving our historians quite the headache. I'm sure you can sympathize. There was no telling whether an archaeological site would still be intact from one waste to the next. Many and varied were the particulars of their pilfering. Historical artworks, ancient technology, gems. She stopped writing completely now. You've made your move. Now time to press the advantage. It pains me to admit, but that was one case I never managed to take to the endgame. Fortunately, the result was still the same. The group disbanded and hasn't made an appearance since. Fortunately for them, I mean. It was around the same time that you joined us here at the corporation, if I recall correctly. You always recall correctly. Now, Siraj Feltry, the game is up. Start talking. She's burning holes into the floor with her gaze. Or, no, wait. Those might actually be real scorch marks down there from some kind of chemical spill. Your mistake. Feltry, maybe I haven't made your position here clear. I'm the last chance that you have in this situation. Either you explain yourself to me, as clear as the crystals which you have haphazardly strewn around your office, or you are done here. Done in this company, and done in this stronghold. What I've seen here today would be enough to have you thrown out for contempt of corporate alone. Talk. Now. You don't like to raise your voice. Usually, you settle for just your sword. Siraj curls inward a bit at the sound, defensively, avoiding your eyes. She looks pretty shaken at this point. Ooh. Yeah, that was us. Nothing much I can really say about it other than that. I left that life behind. I left it buried in the snow and sand. It was getting too much. I didn't see much of a future in rummaging around through shit in the past, funnily enough. At some point I just turned to the guys and I said to them, I can't do this anymore. So I stopped. The worst part was that it was fun, you know. Going where we pleased and taking what we liked because nobody would miss it at the end of the day. Or so we thought, at least. I was good at it. Where have you heard that one before? But yeah, add that to the fact that I had people I needed to look after and provide a better life for. It was just an obvious choice once I stopped for 2 seconds and thought about it. So, we ended up at corporate together. Pite and me. She clears her throat to hide the fact that her voice is cracking a bit. Just a bit. And I worked hard. Some skills that come in handy being a teenage delinquent transfer pretty well to being a business person, as it turns out. So now this is what I'm good at, I guess. That doesn't make it easy. If anything, it's the opposite. I'm good at it, and so people expect good things from me all the fucking time. Ow! I'm constantly sifting through everything, trying to make sense of it all for others and for myself. Always in the middle of things. Always trying to live up to my and others' expectations. And the better I get, the more I find out how actually and completely fucked we all are. How little I'm really capable of doing even in the position that I managed to build up to. How incompetent I really am, even if everyone around me is looking to sort shit out for them. Sometimes I just feel tired. She slumps down a little ways in her chair. For someone as perceptive as you, sometimes you struggle a lot with understanding others' expressions, but you don't have to try hard with her face right now. She's utterly exhausted, whether it's from your questioning or the effort of recalling something that's clearly takes a lot out of her. You forget that it's not as easy for some people. While she was talking, whoop, one sec.
This is a reminder. This is a trash out.
It's time to put the trash out, guys.
This is a reminder. This is a trash out. Trash out.
Alright, let's restart this one. While she was talking, despite all the nonsense it took to get you here, you couldn't help but think how familiar her story sounded. How many times have you heard it's like in your time here? You make a judgment call. She's not the one you're looking for. At this point, you don't really care what your case file says. This isn't someone you should be brutalizing just to get at the truth. Sometimes the truth just isn't that important. And if we're talking about checkered pasts, then you're nobody to talk. There are things in your lifetime that make her story sound like a walk in the park. Or maybe just a nap on the beach. Are you really going to dig up her past when she walked away from doing the same all those sweeps ago? So what? Maybe she has a few skeletons in her closet. At least they aren't literal. Probably. You know what? You're not gonna ask. She's already back to her paperwork. Anyway, normally I only bring up this story if people complete a very specific set of requirements. I don't trust Easy Regulator, and I sure don't want you to think I trust you in that way, just because you forced it out of me when I was feeling down. It feels kind of cheap to just throw it out like that, even if I guess that is the point of an interrogation. If I had a rule back in the day when I organized those trumps. If ever anyone wanted something out of me with no strings attached, I'd give them an offer, a challenge. You perk up a bit at this. Your skills haven't really been tested all that much today, truth be told, and you love a challenge. Curiosity gets the better of you. And what was that? She smirks, almost wistfully. Doubt a soft-stomached strongholder like yourself could handle it. But for old time's sake, I guess I can let you in on it. Did she say stomach? She stops writing and then begins to pull a huge assortment of items out of her jacket pockets and off her desk. Snacks, sweets, some ticket stubs, stationery. You watch with mounting horror as, one by one, she tosses them all into the now empty soda cup she's holding, using one of those shitty cardboard stirrers to mash the gruesome slurry together. This goes on for a full minute at least. At one point, she retrieves a near full bottle of black ink from a whole mother knows where and pours the whole thing in. The stinging scent that hits your nostrils tells you that it wasn't just ink in that bottle either. Maybe you're getting too old for this. Whatever happened to drowning your office woes in honest-to-goodness liquor like a troll with normal, healthy work-life dysfunctions? She finishes mixing her cursed cocktail and slams it down on the desk. A quasi-gelatinous ooze wobbles dangerously inside the cup, threatening to spill over onto the desk and probably melt right through. But not through the plastic cup, though. They recently started making them out of recycled zip ties, the most durable stuff in the known universe. Okay, here's how it works. Anyone in our group could ask me a question, no matter how out there, and I'd give them a straight answer. All they had to do in return was put their money where their mouth is. Or I guess where their mouth is, actually. They had to drink one of my special brews. This is just insanity. Why would anyone degrade themselves to that extent, just to get some paltry bits of information? You'd have some pretty stern words to say to any such individuals, that's for sure. They must have all been out of their own damn think pans. Or maybe just very dedicated. Perhaps this is more of a test of respect than anything, a way for both parties to demonstrate that they take each other seriously. Siraj leans forward for a bit, rummaging behind her desk for something. She pulls out a bottle of bright blue liquid that looks suspiciously like cleaning fluid, along with a glass. You catch a glimpse of the label on the container. Cyanide! The hard surface surfactant of choice. Anyway, you can take it or leave it, Chief. She measures out a tumbler full of the fluorescent blue stuff and lounges back in her chair. I honestly don't care at this point. You look down at the cup in front of you. You could just walk out of here, right now. Your job is done. You don't really know why you've hung around here this long already. You don't have to go through with this. But then again, what more could one more bit of ridiculousness hurt after the nonsense you've gone through today? Maybe a little recreational awfulness could do you some good. It's not like that hasn't worked before. You gaze into the murky depths of the malodorous monstrosity. It seems to gaze back. You are making dinner? Hell yeah, hon. I'm almost done, by the way. I'm gonna stop here, and the next time we'll start with our other dude. A loud gurgling noise comes from somewhere in Feltry's direction. Ugh. This shit tastes fucking awful. She pours herself another. Ooh. Mouse has died? Question mark? Come on, buddy. Siraj? Yes, Siraj. My mouse died. Very funny. Thanks. Siragi. I don't know. Buddy? He is sleeping. There we go. Okay. It was literally like the very last frame. So, that's the end of that. All right. Well, that's that. Happy Homestuck Day. That was fun. This is gonna be a recurring series. I don't know if we'll play it every week or not, but we're gonna play it in the future and hopefully aim for 4 people, 3 to 4 people per time we play. Oh, the Inspector Boy, thank you very much for the follow. Hi. You got here just as we were about to end, or perhaps you were here and are following for the future. I do not know. But, regardless, thank you. Let's see. How tough right now, yeah. Alright, so, anyone who might be new here, just letting you know, in the future, my schedule is usually always posted on my Twitter, which you can find on my card, and it's usually posted on my Discord as well, which I'm also gonna link. I was here before, I was just on Mobile Chrome. Valid. Well, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know if you've played Snowbound Blood or you're just reading it for the first time with me, but thanks for tuning in, Holmes. I am now going to send everyone off. Don't be that way, yeah, do. I use Firefox. I wonder why. I would prefer Firefox over other things. Looks up at my ears. Alright, I'm gonna send you guys off to a mutual, I think. Let's see, who's around? It's been a bit since we have raided Gaz. Let's send you guys off to Gaz. Yeah. Alright. This is also, note, last stream for the week. Tomorrow, me and my crab are gonna be going to a pre-release for Magic the Gathering. It's gonna be fun. So, I hope that everyone has a really great weekend. And a good Friday. And I will see y'all on Monday, probs. Have a great time, you know? Put your feet up. Alright, off you go. Pachoo! Later!